Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here, physical media, love in general. And today is something of an unboxing. I know you've probably seen this item already. It's been out on several of my favorite channels doing a similar unboxing, but for what it's worth, here's my version of that. Of course, we are talking about the Paramount Scares Volume 2 set, which is pretty neat and includes some pretty cool stuff. You can see the movies that are included, but I'll talk about those individually. But let's break this thing open and get a look. It's a really nice box. First of all, you can just tell it's one of those quality, not so flimsy boxes, and it includes, of course, a digital code for all 4 movies. Really neat. It includes a special Paramount Scares collector's edition of Fangoria magazine, and so you can see Friday the 13th Part 2 is one of the films featured here, as well as Breakdown, Orphan First Kill, and World War Z. And we have articles on all of them, including a nice little invocation intro by Phil Nobile Jr. himself, Kurt Russell's Intense Breakdown by Priscilla Page, Back to Crystal Lake, Friday the 13th Part 2 by James H. Burns, The Twists and Turns of Orphan First Kill by B.J. Colangelo, and a movie review, World War Z by Michael Gingold. So that's all included in this lovely, sort of a mini issue of Fangoria magazine. Super cool to have that as part of this. So that's one thing. Then we get a collectible poster, which has like all 4 films sort of incorporated into it. It's a pretty cool design. It's a little different than the actual box cover, but similar. And then we also get a Paramount Scares little pin, as well as some Paramount Scares patches. Looks like there's one for each movie. Or maybe multiples. World War Z, I see. Crystal Lake. Orphan. Yeah, no, it's cool. That's nice. And then on top of that, we also get this nice Paramount Scares. Is this a button? What is that? No, it's like a big old, almost puffy sticker. So that's super neat. So yeah, they really have made it a little collectible, fun gift pack, if you will. So on top of that stuff, that's just the bonus stuff. Each of these films has its own special slipcase. And of course, these are 4K UHDs, all of them. And I think, now don't quote me on this 100%. I know a couple of these are debuts in the States, and like for instance, okay, so let's say Friday the 13th Part 2. Here's the slipcase. You're all doomed, you're all doomed. Pull this out. Now I saw that this is getting a solo release in the UK, I think, but you can get it in the States here via this set. This happens to be my personal favorite Friday the 13th movie. It is one I have a long-standing relationship with, wherein I first saw it at a birthday party as a kid on TV. So edited for television, but still very effective. Actually, was that the first time I saw it? Or just the time that made the most impression? This is a good question. I think it was the first time. So it was on Fox, and it had that like massive warning, like, viewer discretion advised, blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, it's cut for TV, but it still had a lot of the effect of the film intact. And you could still see Baghead Jason, and he's scary. He's, to this day, I think, a very scary boogeyman character. And so it was so scary that I had to like watch it I was in middle school, I think, at the time. And I had to watch it in sort of segments. I'd watch a little bit, then I'd go upstairs. There were some kids playing with like toys in some room or something. And then did we take a break? I feel like we took a break. Maybe it was after the movie, and we were wandering around, and it was in not the best place to be after watching a Friday the 13th movie. Granted, it wasn't at a, camp or something, but it was in a remote farmhouse. So there was like fields, and it was just nothing for miles kind of vibes. So kind of isolated, doesn't really help if you're freaked out, But anyway, so I love this movie, and I have always found it amusing, the retrofitting they had to do to kind of make this work, to bring about Jason as we know him. Because obviously, if you've seen the first Friday the 13th, it's Mrs. Voorhees who's the killer, and the idea, you see a little baby Jason at the end and stuff, but to take that idea and then advance it ahead, they mentioned like 5 years ago is like when the Friday the 13th one happened, but it, the two movies came out within a year of each other, so it's a weird timeline discrepancy. Like, I'm just like, oh, so this should actually be 1985? It's weird. But anyway, so then we have the Jason as we know him. I find the beginning of the movie incredibly amusing because he somehow finds the gal from the first movie at her apartment, calls her on the phone, breaks into her place. I mean, there's just all kinds of things he's doing. I guess the idea is he's supposed to be semi-magical, right? Because he's unkillable, but it doesn't really totally line up with the way that he is in the rest of the films, sort of. I don't know. I still love it. So you have a bunch of camp counselors basically in training before the summer starts, or they're training for, potential summer gig. And it includes Amy Steele, who's one of my favorite final girls of any movie ever. And, she's in April Fool's Day and some other films, but she's really great in this. She's a psychology major, and she's able to use that to her advantage by the end of the movie in a cool way. But it's just, well directed and suspensefully done by Stephen Miner, who would do part 3 as well. And I just really enjoy it. I enjoy this iteration of Jason. He is silent and scary, and there's just nice little directorial flourishes that Steve Miner pulls off that I think are pretty neat. So really neat to see this in 4K. It looks, to me, I start to feel weird about reviewing 4K discs because I guess I'm just not as discerning as I should be, but ultimately this looks very good to me. This looks the colors pop, and it's just, the detail is greater. It just has what I want from a 4K. It also has a Blu-ray, and it includes some special features. Inside Crystal Lake Memories, Friday's Legacy Horror Conventions, and Lost Tales of Camp Blood Part 2, as well as Jason Forever. Now, I was putting that up against the Blu-ray that came out from Scream Factory as part of their set, which includes Inside Crystal Lake Memories, the book, Friday's Legacy Horror Conventions, which I think is the same, podcast interview with Amy Steele, which I guess is not there. So there's a couple things that are maybe a little different. It doesn't... Inside Crystal Lake Memories, the book. Yeah, I guess so. I guess it has all the features of this one except that podcast interview. So just a little comparison, but I was very, very excited about this. When I saw this was coming out, this set, I'm like, well, I'd get it just for Friday too, because I love that one so much. But there's more fun stuff here, including Breakdown in 4K, which is, to me, one of the great Hitchcockian thrillers of the 1990s. I think it is just so well done. It is sort of a take on The Lady Vanishes, if you're familiar with that Hitchcock story, just about a girl on a train that disappears. In this case, it's Kurt Russell and his wife, who is played by Kathleen Quinlan, and they are driving through the remote desert, and the car breaks down. A truck driver pulls up, played by J.T. Walsh, the late J.T. Walsh, says, why don't I give your wife a ride into the next station, next town, so she could get a tow truck out here. So Kurt is a little weird about it, but he decides, okay, sure, take my wife. And eventually he's able to get the car working, like some kind of cable just disconnected and the computer in the car, shut down. But when he goes to the next town, there's no sign of his wife. There's no sign of the truck driver. She's gone. And then it becomes like, where'd she go? And everybody at the station is like, at this little diner is like, what? Do you even have a wife? Like, it starts to become unclear. And he seems crazy, but we know he had a wife. So where did she go? And it becomes a big sort of thrilling mystery to find out. And then once it's determined, the movie ramps up even more to a really crazy climax. Now, this movie's produced by Dino De Laurentiis, and he's a guy who I feel like is one of the last movie mogul types out there. And so there's just certain things in this movie that you're just like, wow, they really went for it in a way that it feels like some studio movies wouldn't. So I think it's to the film's advantage that he was the producer, but this is written and directed by, co-written and directed by Jonathan Mostow, and it's one of my favorite films he did. One of my favorite Kurt Russell performances. Just really, and he's playing like sort of a regular dude, like a Izod shirt wearing. Anyway, the farthest thing from Jack Burton. This includes filmmaker focus, director Jonathan Mostow on Breakdown, commentary by director Jonathan Mostow and Kurt Russell, Victory is Hers, Kathleen Quinlan on Breakdown, and a brilliant partnership, Martha De Laurentiis on Breakdown, and more. I feel like this is repeating the features from the Paramount Presents Blu-ray, but I'm fine with that. This is one I didn't get a chance to look at yet, but I believe what I've seen online is that the transfer looks pretty solid, so I'm pretty psyched to dive into that one. So just those two alone, to me, I'm like, boom, you got me. You got two favorites for me with Breakdown and Friday 2. Now we also have World War Z. Again, these are all 4Ks, and I think all these include Blu-rays as well. This is a movie I've never seen, surprisingly. Just one that was a phenomenon at a certain time, and there's some certain movies you just don't get out to the theater and see it, and for whatever reason, some of the excitement has died down, and you just miss it. Thrilling, epic, and spectacular. The suspense is killer. Raves Peter Travers of Rolling Stone in this fast-paced, pulse-pounding action epic. Former United Nations investigator Jerry Lane, Brad Pitt, is in a race against time to save both his family and the world from a pandemic that is toppling governments and threatening to destroy humanity itself. Very familiar sound. David Denby of The New Yorker calls World War Z the most gratifying action spectacle in years. Includes an unrated cut with intense footage not shown in theaters. Also, behind-the-scenes featurettes, a compelling insider's look at the creation of World War Z apocalypse. And I'm excited about this one. This is the way to see it finally in 4K. So I'm glad I waited. I'll be able to see it in the best quality possible with all that intense footage. So that should be fun. And then lastly, but not least, we have Orphan First Kill, which is a prequel. Esther's terrifying saga continues in this thrilling prequel to the original and shocking horror hit Orphan. After orchestrating a brilliant escape from an Estonian psychiatric facility, Esther travels to America by impersonating the daughter of a wealthy family, yet an unexpected twist arises that I'm not going to talk about. If you haven't seen it, go in cold if you can, because it's a fun one, and the turn is pretty enjoyable. But yeah, this rich family has lost their kid. It's been years, I think, since they've seen him or seen her. So Esther can step in. The character of Esther can step in and pretend to be that kid, and so that makes for an exciting, suspenseful thing, you know. And she can claim sort of amnesia for things she doesn't remember and stuff. But it's a really fun performance by oh boy. Shoot. Well, Julia Stiles is fascinating in this. I've almost not seen her this way in another feature. So she's really pretty great in this. This is a Dark Castle release, which, you know, they put out some pretty fun stuff. But a very fun, thrilling, R-rated horror movie, and one that I definitely enjoyed watching. You know, maybe not quite as much as the first one, because there's a certain novelty to that, but this was actually surprisingly good. And another one that I haven't been able to crack open yet. I'll have to look to see what people are saying, but it's such a new movie. I'm not too concerned about the transfer not being good. These all seem to have 4K with HDR is mentioned on, I believe, all of them. Yeah. And that definitely, yeah, I definitely felt that in at least the Friday that I was checking out. Like I said, the colors were really more vibrant than I was used to in the best way. And so this is a really nice group of movies, a really nice 4K set from Paramount. And I like that they do these sets and that they debut some of these releases in 4K exclusively in the set. I mean, I get the trick of it, right? You put together this nice collector's package and you get people to buy them, and maybe some won't because they'll want to wait for individual releases, which, you know, I don't honestly know when those are coming. But it's a really, really nice package. I still have my Paramount Scares Volume 1. But this Volume 2 set, definitely pretty fun. I think worth grabbing. Like I said, for me, Friday the 13th and Breakdown, you had me at hello. So anyway, just wanted to open that up and show it to you guys and see what you want to take away from this. It should be available October 1st, which, if I'm doing this right, would be the day that this video drops. So worth, you know, putting on your wish list, if you will, or picking up. And it's available from Amazon, and Diabolic at this time has it, and, you know, some other places. So you can look around online and grab it where you like. But I think worthwhile. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.